So, hi everyone, welcome back. Hope everyone is doing great. Finally, the wait is over and the time has come. I'm uploading the first video of the playlist I mentioned in the last video, Test Driven Development with Python. We will be following the book Test Driven Development with Python by Harry J.W. Percival, and I'll be making all the necessary changes in the code such that it works with the current tech stack as per 2025. We all agree that there is not much point in a video or a playlist that just covers everything you could easily find by Googling. So, to be exact, this playlist is not just a guide to language syntax or conventional tutorial of web development. We will be following the path of test driven development and follow the main aim of clean code that works. No prior knowledge of Django, Selenium, etc. needed. We will be picking up everything from basic, and by the end of this playlist, I'll try to publish one version control, that is Git GitHub, and one bash command tutorials video. Without any further ado, let's get started. I would request everyone to please open their VS Code and be ready to code with me and follow along. I would suggest you to pay attention and write the code yourself, even if you know the command. If you don't have VS Code installed, refer to any YouTube video and you would be able to install the VS Code and easily and then code with me. Okay, so it's a pretty basic stuff, and the reason why I'm requesting you all to code with me, even if you know the command, is something called I want these commands to be in your muscle memory. I want you to remember these commands, not exactly like cramming. I want you to practice that much that you know, okay, this is the command, so that the interviewer or your recruiter knows that okay, this person has done some cool stuff. So, as it is a TDD based course, so firstly we will write our first functional test script, which will do nothing but call our browser and get the title of our website. Now you might ask, without writing code, why are you writing the test? Don't you need to write the code first to test it? Yeah, so my answer to that is, if you remember, I told you that we will be picking up everything like we will be first doing the test and then see what error is there, and then do the change in the code, so that we know every line of code, why every line of code is written. Now you might have not seen my last video. I would urge you to see that video, because you would be able to understand what the purpose of this playlist is, and like I'll put the link in the description. You will be able to understand why I'm posting this video and why I am picking up the test first, then getting the code for the browser or web app, you can say. So yeah, let's first create our first functional test file. Now if some of you might not know what unit test is, what functional test is, don't worry, we will get into its definition. For now, assume it like don't assume, actually, sorry for that. For now, just keep that in mind, that functional test is something which is used to see, like, which helps the developer to see how the website would look from user point of view and what all things would be missing for it. Now you might ask, I can manually go and see my website, what's the problem? So basically this helps you, the functional test helps you examine the problems that you can't just see by looking at it manually. Some of the elements might be missing, some logical errors might be there. So this functional test help you identify that problems and then resolve it. Yeah, so let's start. I'll write the main, we can say, prompt of the functional test. Don't worry, I'll explain everything. I'll just write. First, we are importing the Selenium WebDriver. Yeah, I'll explain it. Don't worry. Yeah, so then we will instantiate. So the first line is basically we are importing WebDriver from Selenium. Now Selenium is an open source tool which is used for automating the web app testing or website testing. If you don't know, don't worry. If some of you might have done a little web development, you might know that we need to do the testing of the website before publishing it. So it's basically automating the testing and making the things easier for the developer. So it's basically we are writing a test which will in future test our website. Okay, so we are just importing the WebDriver. Now WebDriver is just, you can say, a tool. It helps you to I mean, it helps you to automate the testing that I told you already. Okay, it allows you to control a web browser programmatically. This means you can do all the things like open a web page, click buttons, fill out forms, and more, all through the code. And it's used for testing. Yeah, so then we will instantiate. Yes, dot Firefox. Don't worry, you don't need to install Firefox for using this. Yeah, so what this is doing, this is basically instantiating. I'll write the comment as well. Instantiating the WebDriver of Firefox for us. Okay, yeah, now what we will do is we will just go to our URL. Yeah, now this is a function. If any one of you is pretty new to coding, I would urge them to look at the basic syntax of Python, so that you know what dot get could mean. Yeah, I don't need to know everything about it. You just need to know that what does dot get mean. Like, it's like dot something is a function of that particular class. Now people might not be knowing class, so they would ask, why are you putting so much stuff? It's like we have created an instance, and we have created an instance of Firefox, and it has some methods or some functions. So it is giving us those methods, those functions. So this is the instance of our Firefox, and using that instance, along with that, if we add dot get, we can basically use the methods. Rather than dot get, I could say dot set if any method like this exists. So we will look into more functions later on, but to just remember, anything like dot get, dot set, or any function is basically like, it helps you to call the function of that particular class, and you don't have to write the code. It's like a black box. You are just getting a black box. You just have to tell, I need this. Now in this dot get is a black box in which you are giving the URL, and you just want the instance of that website back. You are just getting the home page of the website, getting the home page. Okay, now this, you might ask, what is this URL? This is basically if you create any website or web app that by default get instantiated or get ported to the local host 8000. Okay, now we are writing one assert. Now if you don't know what assert means, assert is basically checking, assertion. You could have like gone through some of our assertion reasoning in your some of primary classes or whatever. So it's just basically checking if our browser.title has something called Django in it. Now you could ask, what is browser.title? If you have gone through basic HTML, you could know that dot title, I mean title means it's a tag which basically tells the title of the website. Okay, so it's just the same. Now just the difference is that our WebDriver, the instance of a WebDriver, is giving us the title. It's basically going to the website, asking it, what's your title? Is it Django or is it something else? Just give it to me. Then I'll go back, give it to functional test. Then it will check. Assert means if Django is there in the browser.title. If let's say my browser.title was, if the title of my website or web app was, it was hi Django. Okay, now it will show true. But let's say it was hi Django, then it will show false, and you can pretty easily guess why, because it is small d, not capital D. Okay, yeah, so first let's just run the test. Okay, yeah, so for running this, you just have to write python functional test.py. Okay, just give me a moment. Yeah, now first thing, it's like, you could ask why Python was not found in why Python 3. It's just that version differences. So you could just get overwhelmed. Okay, why is it not running? So that's why I just ran first Python and Python 3. You can check the version according to your own laptop and then run accordingly. Don't worry. Now, coming back to the error that we are getting. So it's basically we are getting a window pop up and it's showing unable to connect. And if you go back to console, you could see a big error, and the test also left the browser window open. This is not how I should expect my test to behave, right? I should I would expect it to get closed by itself and then go back to console and show me the error. Don't worry, we will fix this. Just trust me, we will fix this. We will get into detail about the functional test and unit test. Don't worry about that as well. So let's just resolve our first issue now. It was not able to connect to the local host because nothing was running there. Yeah, why? You don't have anything running, right? If some of you might have done like a pretty basic webd, they would have known that for something to like run into that particular local host, we have to write something, right? So that's why it's giving us the error. So we have the motivation to write an application now. Yay! So let's fix our first issue. Now we will ask our Django to create a new app and we will name it Superlist. If you don't have Django installed, you can simply use, I'll just write here the command. You can simply use python/m pip install Django. Okay. And if that doesn't work, you can use Python 3. Just now I showed, right? Or you can just simply use this. Pip install Django or pip3 install Django. Okay. Now I can show you by running the command. I'll just run the second one. It will pip3 install Django. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's showing requirement already satisfied because I have already installed Django. Okay, so now we will create our first application using Django. Yeah. So what we will do is we will use the default command that we use for creating our Django app, python 3/m. We will simply write Django start project and the name of our project. Start project is basically you could like think of it as a function which will just create a new app, new project, sorry. And we will name it Superlist for now. You can name it anything. You can name it my site. You can name it anything you want. Literally anything. Okay. Yeah. One thing, you could use Django admin as well. Like I was using python/m Django start project Superlist. But you could have used Django admin.py or Django admin start project Superlist. That's up to you. You can use anything you want, but for using Django admin you need to install Django admin. For that you can just simply type the command python 3 install Django admin. That's all. Okay, you can do that if you want. You can try that. That would be a new exercise to you. If you are new to programming, that would be good. Okay, so now we have a folder which was created by our Django. It said, okay, you said me to create a project. I have created it and now I have given you the folder which contains your project. So it basically has a Superlist folder, and now you can see there is a Superlist subfolder in it. Superb. There's a new thing. You would be amazed, okay, and confused as well. We have one Superlist folder inside Superlist. Wow. So don't want to get into too much detail right now because everyone is starting from scratch, or some of you might know, but just I don't want to overwhelm you or confuse you in the first video itself. Okay, so just to know that this subfolder contains everything that will be applied to every part of the website, like settings.py, for example, which is used to store global information for the site. If you didn't get it what I just said 1 or 2 seconds previously, don't worry, I'll bring it up again step by step. You can see a file manage.py in the main folder. Okay, uh, yeah, it has various functionalities. I'll just open. Okay, it has various functionalities. One of them is to run a development server. What do you mean by development server? It basically runs a server for us to check how our website is going, and we can do some settings. It's basically for development purposes. Let's try that now. Let's change to our main folder. We are outside, so we will go to Superlist folder. Okay, so we are inside it now, and yeah, now we will run our server. Okay, for that we just have to do python 3 manage.py run server. Okay, uh, yeah, ignore this. You have 18 unapplied migration. I'll get into it later. It's just a warning. We will resolve this, don't worry. Now our server is running. Okay, now let's go to see let's go to the browser and see how it works. Without checking how it works, you won't get the motivation. Let's go. Okay, let's see how it works. Yay, our first server is running fine. This is a basic server provided by Django with all the necessary files. It's just like they're giving you a basic terminal, sorry, not a terminal, sorry, the server, and you can make the necessary changes and make it work according to you. Don't worry. Okay, so yeah, and now we will run our test. Okay, and see how it works, because we have a server running now, right? We have a server. Yeah, we will test. For that we will open the new terminal because we want our server to keep running. Okay, yeah, so now we will run python 3 functional test.py. What's the error? Yeah, now you could see you are getting the the server in your test also, and there is just one error. This one, assert Django in browser title. Okay, yeah, just two things are there: assertion error, and now the window that Selenium opened is different. Okay, like it's just different, and it's hanging there. The hanging problem is still there. Let's quit the server, quit this server now, or maybe just close this. Okay, yeah, this was the previous one. Don't just get overwhelmed by it. It was just the previous one. I didn't close. Okay, now yeah, let's move our functional test.py to our this one superlist folder. Now you would ask, why do I need this? Is for, let's say, you want to create a repo for it, a GitHub repo. This is just for that purpose and for organizing your project perfectly, nothing else. Okay, don't worry, it's just, you can keep it outside if you want, it's up to you, but it's like now you have everything related to your project in just this one main folder, and the specifications about that particular project in your superlist folder. Okay, yeah, so let's do a recap now what we have done till now. We created a pretty basic functional test which will do nothing but look into a server. Then we saw unable to connect error, which we resolved by creating a Django server. That's all right, just basic, right? If you have any doubt, please feel free to drop a comment. I will ensure that I will reply to each and every comment. I promise you, your problem won't be like just hanging there on the YouTube channel. I will reply. Don't worry, I will reply. Okay, now let's do some changes to our Superlist code and make our first ever web app. Now we know why do we need a functional test, why do we need a server. Now we will try to create our own web app. Okay, yeah, so firstly we will do it. Okay, yeah, so we will be building a to-do list app. You will ask, Kanishka, everyone has done that, don't tell me you are also going to teach us do to do web app. Okay, So don't worry, just have faith in me. We will do something new and exciting. Okay. The reason for picking up To Do List app is that it's very simple, so it's easy to get a minimum viable app running, and it can be extended in all sort of ways. Let's go and write our first functional test for our To Do List app. Now, you might ask, what are we gonna write in the functional test? You can think of every functional test as a user story. Now, what do you mean by user story? User story is basically, you can think of like user is using a website, and the user shares the experience with you. It's similar to that. You just have your functional test, and it's similar to a user going to the website and then checking out everything. So it's just basically we are writing everything in a story, and then we are writing a test. Yeah. And from user POV we will write a functional test, and then we will write the test, like the code for that functionality that we want from users POV. This thing will remain same. Now we will just think, okay, I'll use my name. Kanishka heard about a cool to do app, and wants to try it. Okay. Yeah. And this is just getting the homepage, you can say, or the URL of that particular website. Now we saw the homepage, we or she, you can say. I'll just keep it to she. Okay. You can think of you using your website and then keeping it as a story. She saw the title and header. Okay. And now we are not using Django, right? What we are using is To. Okay. Yeah. And on the home page itself, she saw that she can create a to-do list here. Okay. On the homepage itself, you have, let's say, an input holder, or input box. You can just enter your first item or first to do item, you can say, and then just make it a list. Okay. And then she typed, go to laundry. Okay. Yeah, it's okay. The first task in the text box, sorry. Okay. So she needs clothes for work tomorrow. Okay. When she hits enter, the page updates, and now the page lists. One, go to laundry. Okay. There is still a text box for her to keep adding items. She enters go buy grocery, demerits of living far from home. The page reloads again and now shows both items on the list. Anushka wonders whether the site will remember her list. Then she sees that site has generated a unique URL for her. If you are new to programming, I'll just explain. Actually, if you visit something called, let's say, our to-do list, I won't write local host. Let's say you visit this. Now, if you add something, the browser will generate a token, you can say, or a unique URL like this, something like this. Just ignore. That basically is specific to your use, specific to the user, and this is a unique URL that is created after the domain name for you to visit it again and get the data that you saved. Okay, and there is some explanatory text to that effect. She visits that URL and her to-do list is still there. Satisfied, she goes back to sleep. Okay, now if you got bored while I was writing the story, yeah, then when she goes back to sleep, she will just close the browser. Okay, so this is basically a story. Let's say there is one user named Kanishka who is using a to-do list app, and she has some expectations. So this is just writing the expectations, how typical or how pretty good you can say to-do list app should work. Okay, so let's run the server again. I didn't close that, I'll just close it. Yep, I'll just run it again. Okay, yeah, now we will run a functional test again. Now before running the functional test, I'll just tell you one more thing. Our assert command is command with to do, and now Django was not there. I replaced Django with to do, so it will throw assert error, but that's an expected error because it's just we have not done anything to make it work, so that's fine. Okay, let's run our functional test.py. Yeah, we moved it, so sorry. We will just move to super list and we will just run that. Yeah, now you might ask, you added browser.quit, Kanishka, why still not closing? Why? And just ignore these much open tabs. These much opened tabs, that's just Apple stuff. I'll just close it later. Okay, you got your error. The error was in line number 9. That's why it didn't get a chance to visit 22 and quit the browser. For this, we can use try finally syntax. Like it's like you can just do try if the to do is there. That's fine. If not, just close the like. It's just throw an exception is there. No try catch in C++ if you have ever tried. Okay, that's similar to that. We can just write a block with try and write a block with catch. So rather than writing the manual code or coding it, the it's pretty common in testing. That's why we don't have to write it manually. We can use some ready-made solutions. So we will edit our this functional test.py. Okay, we will import unit test. Don't worry if you don't know what it is, I'll just explain it in a while. Okay, yeah, so we will write one class. Now you will obviously get tensed. Why are you involving the class? It was easy. Why are you throwing so much jargons at us? Don't worry, I will explain. We are writing one class. It's just it's just importing that unit test. Okay, dot test case. Okay, yeah. So first of all, what is a class? Class basically let's say I mean class basically is a functionality. Let's say you go to a showroom, you want to buy a car, or you want to just go and visit, or you just want to get to know how many cars are there. So class and object is basically a concept. if I mean, majority of you don't know, just drop me a comment. I'll explain what this is in detail, but in a brief, class is basically having some data and some methods. It's like there is one new visitor test class which has a data, like you might ask, in car showroom you have uh, Jaguar, or you could say Mercedes, or any other brand. So it's like giving you the data what all uh, I mean cars are there. So it could have either the data members, like I'll just explain it in C++. It's like having int member, or if you don't know the C++, it's like having some member function, member data, like uh, number of cars, type of car, etc. And it could also have methods, like you could say I want to buy Mercedes. You could just go and say Mercedes dot buy. I told you, dot get dot buy, so you could easily understand what dot buy means. So classes, you can think of it as having both the data and methods. Okay, sorry. Yeah. So class is a blueprint. You can think of it as a blueprint for creating objects, and it has data and then behavior methods. Okay. Yeah. So now we will get back to our own thing that we were doing. Okay. So we will write our first method. This is the syntax to write the methods or functions in uh, Python. Okay, I delete the default one. It's like we will just open the browser, self, this one. Okay, this is just instantiating the Firefox for us. We will add the comment here. Now we will have, don't worry if you don't know what setup and all means, I will explain it later. Then we will have tear down. Again I'll just delete it, and we will move this one so it satisfies and go to sleep to our tear down. Don't worry, I'll explain, just have faith in me. Okay. Yeah, now we will create our main method for our test. We just don't want to open the create the instance and then close it. We want it to work as well, so we will do test can start a list and retrieve it later. This is our main method. Okay, I'll just move this, I'll delete this. Okay, yeah, I'll just move this. Oops. I forgot the command, sorry. Sorry. This I can leave it, I'll just move it later. I forgot the command, I'm sorry. Now this is showing yellow underline because we didn't add self, because browser it's not a global variable anymore. Now you could ask, what is a global variable? It's like when you are writing the variable like this, it's a global variable which is there for the whole .py file to use. But if it's inside a particular function, then it's for that particular function on only, but you could use self to use it in another functions. Okay, yeah. And there is one more thing I'll use. Yeah, we used uh, assert command. Now we will use self dot assert in. Don't worry, I'll tell why are we using assert in and not assert to do. Okay, and self dot browser, it's doing similar, it's doing just the exact thing that we were using our assert command. I'll tell you why we are doing this, and then we will add one more line. Don't worry, I'll explain what each of these means, the lines that I have added, and why I am adding these. Okay, finish the test. Okay, yeah. Now I'll just add one more thing. If underscore underscore name underscore equal underscore main underscore. Okay, then we need to do unit test dot main warnings equal to ignore. Okay, yeah. Now I'll tell you. First of all, you could see the tests are organized into classes. I have created one class which is inheriting from unit test.test case. Now you could ask what is inheritance and what is it doing? Yeah, so it's basically you have your father, right, and you are inheriting from him all the property and all. So similar to that, a class can inherit from another class and use its function, its data, if it's not private. Don't worry, it's just using the functions of another class by inheriting from it. Okay, yeah. And at any method whose name starts with this test. Okay, that is called the test of that particular test method or that particular functional test. And it gets run by the test runner. If your method don't have test in it, it won't get run. Let's say I write one more method which is um, I won't write test. Let's say start. So it won't get run by your test runner. If you just run the functional test.py, your start method won't get run. So please keep that in mind. If you want to write a test in functional test, just make sure that it starts with test, else you won't be able to test your test. Just don't get confused. If your method don't have test in the beginning, you won't be able to make your test runner run that test. Okay, now we have two more new methods, which is setup and tear down. Sorry. So these are the special methods that gets run before and after each test, and it is used to start and stop our browser, like try and accept in our case. Okay, so it's basically setting up the environment for your test, all the tests, and then closing or clearing the environment for after the test is complete. Okay, so also I have added self.assert in. Yeah, instead of assert, I mentioned it earlier as well. So it's just used to make assertions similar to the other one, and this is provided by unit test, and it has lots of helper functions like assert equal, assert true, assert false. That's why I have used this rather than assert. Don't feel overwhelmed, we will get into it later. Just for now, remember we have used it because it has lots of functionalities. Yeah, and self.fail is just to make the test fail no matter what. It's like throwing the exception for like just making sure that try and catch is running, you throw the exception. Similarly, it's there. Okay, yeah. And the last one, the main, you could see that underscore main, this particular line, it's there. It's this is how Python script checks if it's been executed from command line. Okay, rather than just getting import. If any other file is there which is importing this particular file, let's say I create one more file called test and I import functional test.py, then it will just import the function and use it in that particular file. But here, if you have main, this checks if it is getting called by command line. Now if I just call it using this particular terminal, then it will get called, the main function will get called, then all the test, all the unit, like the these test will run. Okay, this is just to make sure that the test is getting called, or the file is getting called from the terminal. Okay, so yeah, yeah, warnings is equal to ignore. It's there to get rid of unnecessary resource warnings that are showing up when the program is running. It's just to make sure that unnecessary warnings are not there. Like you you could have many warnings that this particular method is depreciated because you are using higher version of Python. This method is depreciated. So just to ignore that, because we don't need it, we don't want our unnecessary warnings in the beginning itself. You can feel free to like remove and try again. You could see some of the warnings. Okay, yeah. If you have read Django testing doc, you might have seen something called live server test case in place of unit test, and wondering whether to use that. It's a little complicated. We will get into it later. For now, just use unit test case. We will get into into everything later. Don't worry. Now let's run the functional test. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, what we have, yeah, now what it is doing is this new error. Okay, this particular thing I told you, right? We didn't do anything specific to this particular thing. So to do is not find in the this particular header, sorry, title. So feel free to resolve this error. You won't be able to change the install work successfully. If you know a bit of development, you could be able to, but don't try that. Just try to change to do to anything you want to make it work. And I want every one of you to try to solve it and answer in the comments. And I don't want you to change the title of the browser. I want you to change the to do word that I have written. I want you to change that and make it work. And also, even if it runs, this self dot fail test will fail. Don't worry. Just I want you to make this one. Also, okay, yeah. Hope you enjoy the content and the video. If you did, please do like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next video. Till then, keep coding, keep growing. Bye bye.